whatever your passion is, right? You need to try and see
Hmm.
whether you can choose your career
Hmm.
and do something which you are passionate about.
Okay.
Because if you do that, then you will put your heart and soul in it,
Well
right?
said. Well said.
That is one. And the second thing which comes out is that you need to sometimes take that risk.
Hmm.
You need to have that courage.
Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a vodcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. If you are new to our channel, please consider subscribing to it and hit the bell icon so that you will never miss an update. Our episodes go live at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. every day. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I am privileged and delighted to welcome a former colleague, a very, very respected technocrat, and an entrepreneur, Vinod Sood. Vinod, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Vinod is the co founder and managing director of Hughes Systique Corporation. He was earlier with Hughes Software and CDOT, and he's a member of the NASSCOM advisory boards of several institutions. And for those of you who don't know, I worked with Hughes for 4 years. So that's why I said Vinod is a colleague. So, Vinod, let's talk about your journey with Hughes. Tell me, what does Hughes Systique do?
Okay. So, very interesting question. Hughes Systique is an award-winning software solutions and services company,
Mhm.
and we specialize in providing complete end-to-end product engineering services across the complete product lifecycle, uh, from technology consulting to product design and architecture, development, testing and validation to tech support. And with our solutions and solution accelerators, we help our clients to significantly reduce time to market, optimize their business processes, and successfully adapt to the changing business landscape. This entire wave of digital transformation, we enable our customers on their digital transformation initiatives, in fact.
Wonderful. So, for our viewers and listeners, can you help me understand this with an example, without, of course,
Okay,
giving any names?
right. So, for example, one of our major customers, and before they became a customer, in fact, the problem they posed to us was, and they are world's biggest cruise liner, right? And about 4 years back, the problem they posed to us was that for their customers, and these are luxury cruise liners, so they really wanted us to transform the entire customer experience right from the time when the customer steps on into the cruise ship. So checking in, and as you know, a cruise liner is like a mini city, right? You just going through the cruise ship itself, right, is a challenge, and there are all kinds of activities which are available. You can do shopping, you can play games, there are casinos, you can attend events, right, you can order stuff, right? So they wanted this entire journey to be digitalized, and that is what we did for them, right from checking in, onboarding to the cruise ship's wi-fi system, how to sign on in a
Mhm.
very seamless kind of a way, navigating the ship, participating in activities, shopping, making payments, even to the extent that when you are approaching your cabin, right, uh, your door lock recognizes you, right, and opens on its own.
Incredible. Wow. So, just before we started this interview, you were
Hmm.
telling me about your journey
Okay.
within Hughes
Okay.
as a startup entrepreneur.
Okay.
Tell me about what were some of the challenges and some of your learnings as you built Hughes Systique.
Okay. So before I get to Hughes Systique, I would like to spend some time in terms of my career, my career journey. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm a oldie. I graduated way back in 1984. Okay, and as part of the campus placement, I got a job at Siemens,
Mm-hmm.
and this was like a dream come true,
Mm.
because if you see, I'm talking about 80s, and in 80s there was only a handful of multinationals. Today the times are very different, right? You
Yeah.
have almost every American, European, Korean, Japanese company, they have significant presence in India, right? And that way Siemens was one of the very respected multinationals.
Sure.
So I got an offer, and it was like a dream job,
Mm-hmm.
and I joined Siemens.
Mm.
But within 3 or 4 months, I felt that that is not something which I would like to do all my life.
Mm.
I was not very passionate about that, and nothing wrong with the company, nothing wrong with the project which was assigned to me, and many times there's something wrong with your boss, right? You always feel that your boss is not, and there's nothing wrong even with my boss. He was a young manager, right? And we had become pretty good in terms
Mm.
of relationship, but it was not exciting.
Mm.
And that is when I joined CDOT.
Mm.
And the technology which we developed in CDOT became the precursor to the telecom revolution in India,
Very
right?
interesting. Very interesting.
So this was my how I started.
Okay.
And one of the things which comes out of this is, in fact, two things. One is, whatever your passion is, right? You need to try and see
Mm.
whether you can choose your career
Mm.
and do something which you are passionate about.
Okay.
Because if you do that, then you will put your heart and soul in it,
Well
right?
said. Well said.
That is one. And the second thing which comes out is that you need to sometimes take that risk.
Mm.
You need to have that courage, because see, Siemens was a multinational, a handful of multinationals. And in fact, when I said that I'm going to leave Siemens, everybody, my parents, my friends, my seniors, everyone said that, are you mad?
Mm.
Right? So, but I said, if I have to follow my passion, I will have to take some risk,
Mm.
and I'll have to have the courage
Very
to
interesting.
follow my conviction.
Very interesting.
So that is how CDOT happened. And then Hughes was one of those multinationals which very early on in 91, 92 realized that there is a lot of engineering talent and potential in India. And let's start a core engineering R&D center in India. Not a back-end center, but a R&D center.
Mm.
And that is how Hughes Software Systems was started in 1992.
Sure.
And I joined HSS along with a couple of my other friends from CDOT,
Mm.
and became part of the core team at HSS. Mid 2005, after all the cutting and chopping, Hughes in US, what remained of Hughes was their core satellite communication business. And
Mm.
Hughes has been a pioneer in
Yeah.
satellite
Exact. Yeah.
communications,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
They became an independent company, and some of the folks at Hughes, in fact, who had hired me at HSS in 1992,
Mm.
they got in touch with me, and they
Mm.
said, Vinod, now that we do not have our company in India,
Mm.
because a lot of our engineering core R&D, which is being done now, is being done in a company where Hughes doesn't have any
Mm.
ownership or doesn't have any control.
Mhm.
And we would like to again start a company in India where Hughes has some ownership, some control. And would you be interested in leading and driving that company?
I would like to understand from you what were some of your challenges as you
Okay.
built Hughes Systique.
Okay. So the first and the foremost challenge was that it was very clear that Hughes will only bring in the equity, right? It's not that any time when we needed money, we can
Mm.
call the CFO and money will be wired to us, unlike what used to happen in HSS, right? So we needed to be very, very frugal,
Right.
right? Another thing, I was the first employee of Hughes Systique
Mhm.
in India. So pretty much the initial few months, I was doing everything,
Mhm.
even though I had transitioned from a role of head of global engineering and R&D, where I had a team of almost 3,500 people,
Mhm.
right? But at Hughes Systique, I was doing everything. Okay. So that was the first challenge for me to transition back to a role, right, where I'm a frontline manager, right?
Mhm.
That was one. The
Mhm.
second was, again, some of us, because we had come from a large corporate kind of a background,
Mhm.
we again had to get used to working in a very frugal kind of a manner.
Fantastic. So, again, when you look at, you're building Hughes Systique into such a powerhouse, uh, what would you advise other entrepreneurs in the same technology space?
Hmm.
Because technology sees this constant ups and downs.
Right, right,
And
right.
you've been through it over from C dot to Hughes HSS to now Hughes Systique. What are some of your thoughts on this?
Okay. So maybe what Ashosh I'll do is I'll not restrict myself to entrepreneurs or
Okay.
startups who are
Mhm.
only in the technology
Sure.
space,
Sure.
because what my learning is and what my experience is that some of these things are relevant to any entrepreneur or any startup,
Agree. Okay.
right? I've seen that being overconfident about your offering or your idea,
Mm.
and what it means is not having enough clarity, not being thorough with your homework, doing the research, understanding what the customer pain points are, and what is it that a customer is willing to pay for,
Mm.
right? Looking for possible competition, etc.
Mm.
I think this is something which is very, very important. And I have seen many entrepreneurs who are otherwise very passionate about their idea,
Mm.
right? But not going through the rigmarole, doing their homework, right?
Mm.
Putting in that effort, right? And basically in the startup lingo, right? You really do not spend enough time on the product market fit.
Mm. Tell me,
Mhm.
what are some of the core values you believe in?
First and foremost is integrity and
Mhm.
fairness. The second is put in your best.
Mm.
Okay. One should not have this regret that if I had done something more,
Mm.
right, results could have been
Mm.
better. But when I say put in your best, work very hard, that also means work smartly.
Mm.
And the third thing I would say is empathy,
Mm.
uh, trusting your people.
Mm.
And if you ask me what is my leadership style is building great teams, empowering them, and trusting them. These are some of the things which I would like to say.
Terrific. And my next question is that, you've achieved so much in life and you're continuing to do some great things. What does success mean to Vinod?
Okay, so again, it's a very, very difficult question. But what success means to me is that am I doing something which I'm passionate about,
Mm.
and as I started the discussion about my passion,
Mm.
and also whatever I am doing in some way,
Mm.
is it making a difference?
Mm.
So
Okay.
that is what success means to me,
Mm. Okay.
Ashutosh.
And a
And
follow-up question from that would be, who or what inspires you?
okay, so again, it's not a cliche, but what inspires me is pretty much when I see around me the common men, lot of people who are less fortunate than us,
Mm.
right? Who do not have all the means which we have, but still They are doing their best. They are putting in effort to take care of their needs as well as their family needs, and on top of that, they are always willing to give a helping hand
Mm.
to someone who is in need or who is less fortunate than them. And these are ordinary people. And I get a lot of inspiration seeing them,
Mm.
that we are so lucky, we have everything. If they can have that kind of attitude, right, then we should do something to give back to the society in whatever way we can.
Mm. Thanks. And so, my last question to you, and this is again for the thousands of individuals who will watch everything and listen to everything that you have said today. You started off as a young engineer, joined Siemens, and have worked your way not just to the very top, but now own a chunk of the company that you are running. What would your advice be to a young individual who is starting off on her or his life in the corporate world?
So my advice will be that follow your passion,
Mhm.
do what you would love doing. But having said that, it's also not that you will discover your passion on day one,
Mm.
right? So as you are going through your career, and
Mm.
career is not a 100-meter sprint, right?
Correct.
We know it's a marathon, right? At every stage, every step, try to figure out what is
Mm.
it that you love doing, what is it that you will enjoy, and then start preparing yourself, right, in terms of skills and in terms of competencies, because it's also true that you may love doing something, you might be passionate about something,
Mm.
but then you do not have the skills to do that.
Mm.
So then invest to develop those skills and competencies, and then have the courage, take that risk, okay, to pick up what you are passionate about. And once you have done that, right, put in your best effort. And as I said earlier also, should not have this regret that if I had done something more,
Mm.
right, the results could have been different or better.
Mm.
So once you have the satisfaction that I did my best, okay, I put in whatever I could,
Mm.
right, then you just move on, because you have the satisfaction that I did my best.
Correct. Correct. Thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure speaking to you. Um, I really took me back so many years when I first met you over 2 decades ago. And I must congratulate you on the incredible success that you have had. And I just, look forward to watching how much further and higher you will take Hughes Systique. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ashutosh, and it was such a pleasure getting connected with you again, and I enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.